In this video, you're going to see an excerpt from a private consulting call I did with an investment analyst specific to Manus AI. For those of you who don't know me, I'm James Nguyen. I'm the CEO and founder of Inflection Transcribe. We've been building AI workflows with humans in the loop for the investment due diligence space and expert networks since 2019. Our clients include some of the top 5 expert networks in the world, as well as multi-billion-dollar financial data platform. I'm going to give you a high-level breakdown of Manus. It's a general AI agent. So agent essentially means an AI that has agency. If we don't have to look at it, we don't have to assess, is it doing the right or wrong thing in that moment? Absolutely, we're going to have to assess it after the fact. That's essentially what an agent is. Let's watch through the video and then we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Pete from Manus AI. For the past year, we've been quietly building what we believe is the next evolution in AI. And today, we're launching an early preview of Manus, the first general AI agent.
So the main thing here, just real quick, when they say general AI agent versus a very verticalized AI agent, it means that you can assign it a number of different tasks. So if we scroll down and we have a look at this, you can see it's used in research, it's used in data analysis, life, education, a generalist essentially. And so there are AI agents that have a very specific role, have been trained on a very specific workflow. They would be more verticalized agents, or even if you hear the idea of an agentic workflow, that's when the agents would fit together. This one is a general AI agent, meaning you can give it any multitude of tasks and hopefully we'll see soon, it should be valuable and should be productive.
This isn't just another chatbot or workflow. It's a truly autonomous agent that bridges the gap between conception and execution. While other AI stops at generating ideas, Manus delivers results. We see it as the next paradigm of human-machine collaboration, and potentially a glimpse into AGI. Now let me show you Manus in action across 3 completely different tasks. Let's start with an easy one. In this example, we'll ask Manus to help screen resumes.
First thing that's really interesting here is that you can upload documents. I would say that that's a step forward from other agents that we've seen so far. So giving it context, uploading a document and having it learn off that. It's a zip file here, right? It's showing a level of agency we haven't seen too often in the industry yet.
I've just sent Manus a zip file containing 10 resume documents. Since each Manus agent has its own computer, it can work like a human. First unzipping the file, then browsing through each resume page by page, and recording important information to documents. Manus works asynchronously in the cloud, which means you can close your laptop anytime and Manus will notify you when everything is complete. Of course, you can also give Manus new instructions at any time. Here I've sent Manus 5 more resumes.
So even here, like the general workflow, it having a virtual machine, this is one of the leading indicators of atypically the sort of user interface we see with agents, right? So when they have their own computer, imagine somebody in your team has their own computer, they can open it up, they can work autonomously on that computer independently from what you're doing. That is akin to similar to what an agentic workflow is. What I find interesting here is normally with the agents that we've seen before, you kind of let it do its thing, run its course, and then you come back, give it feedback. You can see that's happening here as well. The fact that you can, in real time, what it looks like, you can add more notes, add more context, and essentially calibrate it as it goes. That seems like a new innovation as well.
After carefully reading all 15 resumes, Manus provides its ranking suggestions, along with candidate profiles and evaluation criteria as supporting materials. This is pretty good, but I prefer a spreadsheet. Let's have Manus create one. Manus has its own knowledge and memory, so it can teach Manus that the next time it handles a similar task, it will deliver a spreadsheet right away.
Knowledge and memory, that's big, right? That's something LLMs we're still working on. Both Dario from Anthropic as well as Sam Altman have said that that's something they're actively working on. How do they implement memory across the board? So whether this works or not, another thing. But the fact that they're saying it has memory, it can learn. Think of it similar to an employee. You onboard them once, you train them exactly how to do it. That's a really big innovation here.
In this example, we'll have Manus conduct some research. It needs to filter New York properties based on multiple criteria. For complex tasks, Manus first breaks them down and creates a to-do list. Manus begins by searching and carefully reading articles about the safest neighborhoods. Then Manus researches middle schools in New York. Next, Manus writes a Python program to calculate my budget. Based on my budget, Manus filters listings on real estate websites.
One thing there is it said Manus creates a Python program to calculate the budget, right? Again, that's another step forward. We've seen this a little bit with Claude where it's actually able to write code to perform a task. But you think about this, Manus has been given a level of intelligence that maybe LLMs don't have, right? One of the things LLMs, given that their predictive models generally struggle with the most, is the idea of doing maths. And so we're seeing this with reasoning models, it being innovated, but Manus is solving this by writing Python to calculate a budget. So suddenly you can think of it as it's got the skill set of maths because it's using an external tool. It's using, quote unquote, a calculator. It's writing Python to create a calculator for itself. This is where that level of agency is coming in. It's choosing the right tool to use in real time because it knows it has to solve something related to maths.
Finally, combining all the information gathered, Manus writes a detailed report and compiles all the resources. In this example, we have Manus perform a correlation analysis between stocks. For professional data, Manus can access authoritative data sources through APIs.
That's huge. What it just said, right? Manus can access authoritative data sources through APIs. What does that mean? It means that the training set of any LLM is no longer a limitation. And we're not even talking about can it find it on the internet, because often if we're talking about quote unquote proprietary databases where you can access that information via an API, sometimes that information can't be searched on the internet. So the fact that Manus can access these data sources via APIs, we're potentially looking at historical data related to stocks as we're looking at here. We're potentially looking at any company that is building a moat around its data. Manus, with permission from that company, can access that using an API. That is one step further than what even a human agent or human worker can do. It's a human that knows how to code to be able to access that API. So the context limit, the knowledge base that it's working on is no longer limited to what just ChatGPT can do, or even think about deep research. Deep research, unless there is a partnership with these data providers, cannot access these data sources via an API purely as of today, right? But Manus is showing that with the access to this, it can actually do that, right? Which opens a hell of a lot more possibilities for what this can do, right? Specific to the investment due diligence space, if it is able to access APIs and call data sets, it could be earnings call transcript libraries, it could be historical stock prices, it could be anything related to financial data that's previously behind, quote unquote, a paywall via an API. If you have paid for license to this information, Manus can now access it, right? It's the same thing as having an analyst on your team that can access all that information.
APIs. After validating the acquired data, Manus begins writing code for data analysis and visualization. For Manus, coding isn't necessarily the goal, but rather a universal tool for solving problems.
Listen to what they said. Coding is not necessarily the goal. It is the universal tool for solving problems, i.e. you just got an analyst who is able to code, right? An analyst that normally joins an investment firm won't necessarily have the skill set of being able to code. So all of the tools that are available to engineers previously, a normal investment analyst wouldn't have access to that. Manus, again, this is very early days. We're going to talk about the limitations in a second. Very early days, this is saying that suddenly all the skill sets of what an engineering team can do, all the skill sets that have been opened up via the tools available, via APIs, is now within the grasp of Manus, right? So it's opening the scope of what, quote unquote, an agentic investment analyst can do for you. So that's crazy.
It looks like Manus has completed the data analysis and visualization. But interactive data visualization is even cooler, so I asked Manus to create a website based on these data. With my permission, Manus deploys the finished website online and provides me with a shareable link. Let's see what Manus has created.
Okay, that's pretty impressive, right? They, number one, created diagrams. We know we can do that with Claude. We know we can create interactive dashboards with Claude. Again, it's using the tools available given its coding capabilities. What's interesting there, a couple things. The narrator said with their permission, right? So they're still human in the loop to be able to actually deploy that website. But the interactivity here, we haven't checked whether it's accurate, but being able to create that, that's one step further than Claude. So Claude already can do this. It's out of the box. Claude can do it with a human in the loop. But seeing the sort of visualizations that is possible, for me, what's interesting here is the arrow of progress, right? What is it pointing to? Right now, I would probably say using a combination of Claude and ChatGPT, just from this video, from what we can see, we could probably get a more detailed output, right? The high level overview, the executive summary, you can get something better from ChatGPT deep research. You can get something better from even, your Perplexity or your even Grok 3, right? But doing all of those things, quote unquote, autonomously, while also then creating the graphs, which only right now Claude does really well, putting it all together, putting it in a website that is easily viewable. What does that point to? That's what's so exciting, right? It's not how good is Manus right now. It is like with the capability of Manus, how good is it going to be? And what is the adjacent possible that it actually opens up with respect to investment due diligence and quote unquote augmenting or even potentially automating different parts of the investment due diligence workflow. So that's it in terms of the high level intro. We're going to go through a couple of these actual analyses in a second. You can see here how people are using Manus. They're using it for a number of different things, right? A general understanding of a topic, whether they're looking for real estate brokerages, writing SEO content. You can see here, which is also interesting, these are usernames, obviously redacted to an extent, but you can see a level of product-led growth, which is likely going to be adding to the virality of Manus in general. Manus Spaces, again, is user-generated content here, which is pretty interesting. And just like a quick snapshot of these. We're going to look at them very, very soon. The last thing I'm going to show here is with respect to this benchmark, right? So this benchmark is actually a meta benchmark here. It's a benchmark for general AI assistance, okay? And so what it really assesses for is proposes real-world questions that require fundamental abilities such as reasoning, multimodality, web browsing, general tool use, i.e., what a human would normally do on the internet, right? And so when we're looking at these capabilities, we're comparing it to OpenAI deep research, okay? So there's 3 different levels. Again, if we just go here, we can see the complexity, right? Level 1 is a pretty standard question and answer. Level 2 has a little bit more reasoning, and level 3 is quite a nuanced answer, right? And so you can see here, Manus outperforms all of them. And again, these are the benchmarks that are being shown. Is it comparing against anything else that is available? We don't know. But OpenAI Deep Research is industry leading. It's one of my absolute favorite tools. And for Manus to outperform it on all 3, that is really, really interesting, right? All right, so we're going to do a quick side-by-side. Let's have a look and evaluate how good the output of Manus is. Now, Manus right now is invite only, so I don't currently have access, but we can see the demos live here. We're going to open up research on AR and AI glasses, okay? We're going to open this one up. So the first thing you're going to see is, you can see here, you're viewing a completed thing, right? So this is all done. I don't know if this is in real time, how quickly it would be, but you can see very quickly, right? There's a side screen that's running, a virtual machine that's running. You can see Manus is using the browser. You can see how quickly it's moving through these things. Again, I believe and speculate here that it's being sped up mainly because it's a replay of the session, but who knows? This is maybe how fast it's happening, right? So it's searching different things related to their AR and AI glasses, right? It's researching. You can see here it's reading. It's reading a number of things. It's going through. So we can open these things up and slow it down a little bit, right? And so you can see here it's reading through and searching, right? And then it's browsing. It's going to read different articles, creating files. Again, this, if you use deep research before, this isn't anything that is new or novel, but what is interesting here is you're actually seeing live in another screen is actually doing all these things, right? So if you use deep research and everything related to that, you're able to see what is possible in the industry. We're going to go back up to the top. We're going to take this exact thing and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison with deep research in ChatGPT. If you haven't seen this video, check it out on the channel. Again, right, this is rudimentary because if we were going to do a proper deep research in ChatGPT, we would customize the prompt, do it all the same. But let's try to keep as many variables common as possible. So let's do a deep research in ChatGPT. And then we're going to look at Grok and Perplexity as well. I'm going to make the answers here very quick. So let's let ChatGPT do that. Let's go ahead, do the exact same thing in Grok as well. Okay, so I'm turning on deep search here, Grok 3. We're going to go there and I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same in Perplexity. So we're going to open these up once they're all done and check it out. We're going to pull up the different output from the different models, right? So this is Manus. We've downloaded it into a PDF. This is what it's looking at here. It's gone through, created all of these, given us some dot points. PDF is easy to read, so you can look through here. So notably, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 different ones listed here. Now, we haven't done a deep dive to evaluate whether there's any hallucinations here, but it's listing high level 10, right? It's give or take, ticks off the requirements of the original prompt. Not a heap of detail, but ticks it mainly off. Now, if you're doing a high level understanding of the main players in the space, maybe this is enough detail, right? Next, we're going to go to ChatGPT. This took 6 minutes. This is deep research using O3. I know it says O1 here, but it's using O3. O1 is going to be used for the follow-ups. So this is the most sophisticated version of OpenAI's models as of right now. The main ways that we're evaluating this is number one, usability of what's here and the detailed analysis. And again, you can make your own call when you're looking through this, which one you want to use, but ChatGPT deep research is the most detailed across the different columns and the different criteria here. However, let's count how many ChatGPT has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Only has 6. And so were there hallucinations in Manus's? Did ChatGPT ignore those? Now, to be fair to ChatGPT here, it does say X-Real, but it has more than one X-Real model. And we see that come up a little bit later. Okay, so that's ChatGPT deep research. Here we're going to look at Grok. Grok, of the 3 additional ones, Perplexity, Grok, and ChatGPT. Grok finished first, okay? So they were the fastest. And so, again, they give probably similar detail, some, formatting issues. We know it's still in beta, but similar details to what Manus gave. It did show more than 10 results, right? I think it shows about 11 or 12 results. Now, again, are these all correct? We haven't fact checked them yet, but it's showing high level. But then we go to Perplexity. You see Perplexity probably in terms of formatting, it's very clean, similar detail to Manus. It has probably a couple more columns, so a couple of extra details here, but it has the most, right? And it goes through and gives more context below as well. So it's definitely a lot more comprehensive after the table. In the actual table, the most comprehensive was ChatGPT, but if we're looking at the number of lenses, the number of products listed here, this was over 12. It was close to 15. I believe it was 15. So this one, in terms of the comprehensiveness, again, independent from whether these are hallucinated, these are accurate, Perplexity had the most here, right? So Manus has done pretty well. You can see here, if it was operating autonomously, each of these are research agents. All of those for the function of research operate autonomously as well. But if you wanted ChatGPT, Grok, or Perplexity to do anything with the output, you can't currently do that. And I suspect Manus, you would be able to ask it to do something with this, right? Whether it is put it into a Google Sheet, create an Excel doc, potentially take this information, put it in any other platform. That is the benefit of a general AI agent versus specific just to the subtask of research.